It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Friday after a win over the Carolina Hurricanes. It's an episode of The Oil Stream. Nothing says celebrating a victory like a delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich, because every single bite feels like a win. DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, and Uber Eats now open in West Edmonton Mall. Make sure you go check it out. Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Tommy Gazzola, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, Dusty. Good afternoon. How was that Popeye's chicken sandwich the other day, by the way? I'm very curious to know.
Delicious. And may I add, I told you I was trying the Cajun fries poutine.
Yes.
Sneaky good. I was just like, we'll see, Cajun fries and the poutine. Mwah! You've done it again, Popeyes. You've done it again. We're looking at almost 24 Popeyes locations, so make sure you track that down and celebrate your weekend with little Popeyes. Get some nuggets. The nugs, highly underrated. Absolutely delicious as well. Tommy, how was the Smash It Nielsen show this morning, buddy?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it's nothing like the original when you and LTE are there, but we just try to keep the seat warm for you. It was me and Walker Postgame Ranger.
Yes.
Which,
what a scene that guy is.
It's an experience in itself. And I have the good fortune of working with Jeff after every Oilers game. But today, Yukon and McCord got him to eat a boiled pizza pop, and he said it was delicious. So I'll take his word for it. I was offered one, and I kindly and respectfully declined.
I think that guy would pretty much eat anything that gets placed in front of him. He's an adventurous dude. That's
yes.
Oh man, I'm sad I missed that actually now. All right, we're gonna get into last night's game. We'll do that during our Boston Pizza Appetizer. Tommy, a couple of young Edmonton Oilers. You got some updates for us. What's going on with Broberg and Holloway?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Just I know people were texting into the post-game show and then the Smash Hit Nielsen show this morning, wondering what's going on there. With Dylan Holloway, if you didn't catch it, he did skate on Wednesday, and Jason Gregor caught up with him briefly as he was coming off the ice, and Gregor said that he was in good spirits, and so a good sign that he was on the ice, but obviously with upper body injuries, you want to play it as safe as possible.
Yeah.
Especially when you get hit like that. So a good sign, and, we'll keep you posted, but officially day-to-day upper body injury, but Gregor did see him after Holloway skated on his own. And as for Philip Broberg, chatting up in the press box last night at the game, there was some talk that he was banged up. So, yes, a tweak is what it was described to me as, upper body tweak. And it was something that he was dealing with in training camp through the preseason. And it's just something that hasn't necessarily healed as quickly as they wanted it to. So, they're resting him up for the rest of the week in Bakersfield, and then next week he's expected to play down there. So a tweak that's kind of been bothering him for the better part of a month now, and they're just giving him time to rest it up. So those
just
wondering what's going on with Broberg,
get it completely, get it better, and then can focus on stuff. So.
Yeah. So that's the update there. Nothing crazy.
So you think that kind of explains a little bit of his lackluster training camp?
It might kind of give a little bit of an idea
insight
of what he was dealing with and shed some light on it. So he wasn't 100% healthy. We know a lot of these guys aren't, but he was dealing with something throughout training camp that was nagging and bothering him and never got better really. And so they're giving him time to let that heal up, because it wasn't getting much better until they rested him.
All right, let's get into your Boston Pizza Appetizer, brought to you by our wonderful partners at Boston Pizza, where you can join us. Sherwood Park, Y Road, next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. We're going to be doing an episode of the Oil Stream at the Boston Pizza location on Y Road in Sherwood Park. Yep. So on your way home from work, if you're on the park, or maybe you live on the east side, or maybe you live in Stony Plain and you just love the Oil Stream and want to drive all the way out to see us, that would be great as well. But we're going to be doing it at 6 o'clock. We'll be set up in the lounge at the Y Road Boston Pizza. And, if you're down there and you've got questions for us, come on up. You can ask some questions and stuff, and it'd be great just to meet you. So also, if you pop by, I might have a little something for you from from our partners at Coolbet as well. So a nice little bonus if you pop by, if you're into the wagering on sports. We've got that as well. Of course, happy hour every day at Boston Pizza from 2 to 5, and then again from 9 to close, the double happy hour at BP's. Edmonton Oilers victorious against the Carolina Hurricanes last night, Tommy. It was a wild one. I mean, there are parts of their game that still need a lot of work, but the offense last night got clicking. Interested to see how this rolls now moving forward.
Yeah, no letdown either. That's the other thing, too. When Carolina would press and come back and claw its way into the game again, the Oilers would just go and counterpunch, which was great to see. I think that speaks to the swagger and confidence in the group. And, talking with the players before the game yesterday after a very optional morning skate, Darnell Nurse in particular, Matt Cassidy and I had a nice chat with him. He broke it down pretty simply. He's like, listen, we know we haven't played our best, but there was like a 5-minute spurt in one game, 3 minutes in another game, and 15 minutes in another game. Otherwise, we've kept it pretty good. But it was those chunks of minutes in those 3 first games where it cost them a couple of points. And so not at all perfect last night against Carolina, but how hard is it to be perfect against the Carolina Hurricanes? Like, that is such a good team. Yeah, and the Oilers were the first team to bust them open for 6 goals, 5 of those, with a goalie in the net, obviously. But Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta and the defense and that team in general has been rock solid out of the gate. And the Oilers managed to put 6 up on them. Granted, one was an empty netter. Power play clicked. PK goes 3 for 5. That's an impressive win. A little bit more of a hop and a step of the team. And then I think, too, for the fan base, a sense of relief to show that this team can do it still. But the test tomorrow afternoon against the St. Louis Blues won't be an easy one either.
Classic Saturday afternoon against the Blues. 2-1.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 2-1 game. It's just a matter of how that sorts itself out. Defensively, I thought that a lot of the issues that we saw in the first 3 games kind of still lingered around, but they had it going offensively last night. And Freddie Anderson, got caught out of his net on one. Nice little play by Hyman to kick it to Nuge. I thought that was a good play. The Evander Kane one, if Jack Campbell lets that in, we're ripping him. That one's got to be stopped in that situation. Yeah. So, I thought they took advantage of some weak spots from Freddie Anderson last night, which certainly helped. I'd be interested to hear what the coaching staff legitimately thinks about, the defensive side of the game last night. There was a couple of times when they were walked when you don't want to be walked. That one goal that Carolina scored on the power play was absolutely ridiculous. Two guys that I really want to talk about, one is Jack Campbell, because I know, there's probably 1 or 2 goals there last night that Campbell would like to have back. But Tommy, the save he made on Aho late, I know that puck was rolling, but right off a draw, all of a sudden Sebastian Aho in a 1-goal game is on top of your goalie. Like, that can't happen. Yeah. Campbell came up huge there. And then I think it was the second period. I was watching the game, doing a bunch of prep for that football game tonight. And I can't remember what the score was at the time, but you'll remember the play. Jack was losing his mind. It was like 3 straight saves from Campbell. Carolina was all over him. And I think the second shot might have gone wide, but he made a couple of great saves. And there was a couple of clutch moments from Campbell last night in a game where, in the second period, Carolina started to kind of crank it up a notch. And I thought Campbell held strong at a few moments when he really had to.
Timely saves. I think he rose to the occasion when they needed him. And the comparisons after game 1 against Vancouver, when fans were texting in to our shows saying that was like Grant Fuhr, the way he made the saves when he needed to, even though he let in a bunch before. Kind of the same story last night against a better team. And I think, that shows the resolve. And I think, that'll build the trust with the group. He brings a sense of calm and some steadiness, I think. And so too does Stuart Skinner, as we continue to watch Stuart Skinner evolve as a goaltender in the National Hockey League. But it was those key moments when he made those saves. And every time he let one in, the Oilers came right back and counterpunched, like I said earlier, which is a good sign. So when the team has the goalies back and the goalie has the teams back in the right moments, that goes a long way. Yeah, that first goal sucked. It wasn't great. Maybe you could point to another one that might have not have been particularly awesome as well against Jack Campbell. And there were some bad turnovers from the blue liners. Evan Bouchard had some rough moments. That
was the moment that led to the 3 saves in a row was Bouchard backhanded it right up the middle. Like,
Yep.
and he was under, I don't know why he didn't turn that back up the boards. I was just like, what are you doing, man?
Well, now he atoned for it with a great feed shorthanded to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that set up McLeod. But, I mean, it was a Jekyll and Hyde game for Evan Bouchard, and it's kind of been a slow start to the season for Bouchard. There's been some people ripping him on the post-game show. There's people saying, hey, relax. This is a young defenseman. He doesn't have Duncan Keith there with him. And that's true too. But I think it leans more so to young defenseman just in his second full season. And he's hanging on to the puck, it seems, quite a bit more. And maybe there's he's second guessing himself perhaps somewhat. And it's led to some of those gaffes with the puck. But again, you know, at least he still has the confidence after making a mistake to go and make a nice, confident play to actually set up goals and create offense, which is a good sign. And yeah, maybe he's fighting it a little bit. He's not the only one on the back end, that is, but he's getting a little bit of the spotlight for good and bad reasons. 4
points for Connor McDavid. Yada yada. 4 points for Nuge. What a night! I mean, that's a big night for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who, I mean, whether deservedly so or not, been kind of taking a little bit of heat here through the first 3 games. Gets away from that third line to start this hockey game as opposed to being moved up from it as he had been pretty much in all the other games so far. And it clicked last night. I mean, Nuge is capable of these types of games, especially when he's on a power play like the one that the Oilers are rolling out.
Yeah, I like that on the rundown there. A Nuge night. And it kind of, yeah, of course, kind of kept some people quiet because there have been those that, want to knock Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and question why he's on the team and why he isn't the guy being traded. And I think last night's a good example as to why he's a key part of the team. Now, listen, he's not going to have a 4-point night every night. We know this. But he's capable of being a 60-point player. He's capable of being a 20 to 25 goal scorer, and he's off to a good start. And he scores some ugly goals. Sometimes he can score some pretty goals. On the power play there, he's a guy to complement McDavid and Draisaitl. He's not necessarily there to drive the power play. And again, I think he's made for a pretty excellent at times penalty kill tandem with Zach Hyman. And yesterday you saw the speed of McLeod that Nuge was able to recognize and catch him in flight and set up a really nice goal. So it's not always going to be 4 points in a game for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but I think it's one of those ones where he reminded everybody that he does have a lot of value and he's really well respected within that locker room as well.
All right. A couple other things to get to. I saw a few guys talking about, I thought they were, I mean, for expectations, maybe I thought it was pretty effective line last night, but what'd you think of McLeod, Fogle, and Jesse Puljujarvi kind of locked in as a third line last night?
Pretty effective. I thought that was good. And, you look at that, there's speed and size on that line, and I think simplicity is the key with those three. McLeod seems to have quite a bit of confidence, so he was pretty good at driving that line. I think if you want the puck on someone's stick, out of those three, it's definitely McLeod's, and let those other two kind of bang and crash and use their wheels and their big bodies. And they did effectively. It was a simple, straightforward game. Nothing crazy from those three. And if that's how they can play, get some offensive zone time, don't get caved in your own zone. Sounds like a pretty standard, pretty good third line, if you will.
Well, I think that's the key to it. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily expect a ton of offense from this line, like chipping here or there. That's what third lines do. But they didn't get in much trouble last night in their own end. I thought if that's if you can put out a third line that spends more of the time in the offensive zone, whether they're finishing or not, I think that's I mean, you're going to need that from a third line. Just don't get in trouble consistently. And I didn't really sniff much trouble from them at all last night.
No, I thought it was Jesse Puljujarvi's best game of the season too. Slowly and in little spurts here and there, it looks like maybe he's finding a little bit of a rhythm. And Warren Fogle, I liked when he played physical, used his wheels. I know he was motivated to play against his old team, but if that line can build off of that, and if it is going to be a line going forward for a little bit here, then that's a good indicator. Absolutely.
All right, let's dive into inside the numbers for Cool Bet. Stay cool, bet responsibly. I tweeted this right before we started the episode, so I want to get into it a little bit because it does seem like it's Yamamoto or Puljujarvi. Who should play with McDavid? Who should? In their last 30 games for both of these guys, Yamamoto has 3 goals in his last 30 games. We're talking this year, playoffs last year, end of season last year. So just going back 30 games. Yamamoto has 3 goals. Jesse Puljujarvi has 4. Both of them had a decent amount of opportunity with 97 and Vander Kane. Tommy, do you honestly think that either of those two guys, I mean, I know you probably don't think Jesse Puljujarvi is, but do you think Yamamoto is the right fit with McDavid and Kane either? Because the numbers simply don't back it up.
That's fair to point out. And those two, by the way, their numbers have historically, since they've been Oilers, been very similar. There's probably, out of this lineup, I think Yamamoto fits in the top 6 better. And there were people.
Why is that though? I'm curious. Like, why is it?
And I wondered that myself last night watching the game. I'm like, well, Yamamoto.
Because I watched the game last night too, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't see it.
Chances. But and I'm sitting there like, I'm like, why do I think this? Why do people think this? Like, what am I not seeing? What am I seeing? I talked about it on the post-game show. I'm like, I think it's because Yamamoto does the little things correctly. Jesse Puljujarvi does not. He just doesn't. He's scrambly. What he does do well is uses his body to his advantage. He disrupts really well. But when he gets the puck on his stick, he's not crisp. And I think, going into the game against Buffalo, he had 6 seconds of possession time all season long. So that's where I think Yamamoto gets the advantage. Now, the level of effectiveness ends up being relatively the same, but it's like, okay, Yamamoto got a puck in the neutral zone. This is just a nothing play, but it kind of sums it up. He gets it, and instead of like trying to force a pass at the offensive zone blue line or wait it out or get pinched off and potentially cause a turnover, he got the puck in deep, and he goes and he forechecks, eats it up, and the Oilers regain possession. Boring, I know. It's not the greatest X's and O's, but it's like those little things. And that's just one small example, because I know people will be like, Tom, the spreadsheet says this. Tom, the equations say that. One guy lit me up for my response yesterday as to why I think there's a difference between why guys like playing with Yamamoto, why guys don't necessarily love playing with Puljujarvi. And he says the numbers would tell you you're completely wrong. I understand that, but it's not the numbers that make the coach's decisions. And we know that Jay Woodcroft and the staff don't use the same numbers that, the analytics community, if you will, at large necessarily use. So that was just me trying to decipher it in my own way. Whether that's right or wrong, completely subjective, but that was my way of trying to figure it out. But you're right. Ultimately, they probably need a better option on the right side in the top 6.
Yeah, because, it's like the fancy stats of back JP, whatever. But then even like the box cars, they're even. I mean, the last 2 years, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to figure it out, and I can't really come up with a solution. I've said for a long time, for the last 2 years, I think that this team is a Stanley Cup contender if Yamamoto's a third line winger. Like, on a really good team, I view Yamamoto as a third line winger, right? So I wonder if when has Yamamoto looked the best as an Edmonton Oiler? Draisaitl and Nuge.
Yeah, I mean, and that was what, a 30-game sample, something like that?
Yeah, it was small, but it was by far the best he's ever looked. I wonder if you get to a point where Hyman is playing with Kane and McDavid, Yamamoto, maybe even reluctantly, they go back to Yamamoto, Draisaitl, and Nuge. And then if everybody liked the third line last night, then you got Jesse Puljujarvi with McLeod and Fogle, and everybody's kind of slotted in where maybe it makes sense,
Yeah, and Dusty, like I know JP backers are going to tell me I'm crazy, and that was just me trying to figure out this conundrum that we've discussed and you brought up, but there was some discussion too among some of the hockey people in the press box, and I said, I'm like, hey, Puljujarvi looks good tonight, and they just said to me, they're like, well, he's playing where he should on the third line. He's a third line player, and they just left it at that.
Well, that's because, I mean, I didn't want to get fired up this episode, but in that game against Buffalo, he set up Draisaitl for a grade A scoring chance. He set up Hyman for a grade A scoring chance. He drew a penalty. I mean, he set up Evander Kane early in the year for a grade A scoring chance. Like, I think Puljujarvi's been okay so far this year.
Yeah,
you know, like,
I have no real
that's
issue.
fine. That's fine, right? Like, he's been okay. That's okay.
Play to your strengths. And, you know, again, last night I thought was his best night of the season. And there's nothing wrong with him sliding up and down the lineup.
You know what was really bizarre is that I didn't see him lots in the third, but then he was out there right after Carolina pulled the goalie. I even had to double check. I was like, what's Woodcroft got him out there for now? He hasn't played him much in the third, and he was out there with like a minute and 15 seconds left defending the lead. I don't know if he hopped on by accident or if he was supposed to be out there or what, but that one caught me off guard last night because he didn't use it much in the third.
No, and that's a sign that the coach has confidence in his player and recognize that he was on that night, if you will.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I still think there's a chance that he accidentally went out for somebody else, but I mean...
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt and you're not. What's going on here?
No, here, see, so AB Poker Inc. is in. It says, fine doesn't equal points, Dusty. Yeah, but when you're a third liner, which he played 11 minutes last night. He played 11 minutes. He had a shot on goal. He had a great back check that led to a takeaway in 11 minutes. Like, I don't think we expect guys who play 11 minutes to put up 40 points on the season, Tommy. Guys who play 11 minutes and no power play and no special teams are 25-point players. Like, that from a usage perspective, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
Like, that's what you have to lay out. Like, and that line last night was good because they didn't get in any trouble in their own end, which I think is a positive for that group overall. So, all right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Oil Stream. We'll be back live, Sherwood Park, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, Boston Pizza on Y Road. Love for a few of you to pop by there. Like I said, if you do roll in, you might get a little something from Cool Bet when you pop in for a visit as well. And, of course, the first 10 people that come in and say, hey, Dusty, give me the goods, I'm going to hook you up with a beverage of your choice. I mean, we're not talking like something this big, but I mean, you want a double, I'll get you a double, like something along those lines.
You get them a double Bulldog. If they ask, you give them what they want.
You relax. You relax, Tommy. My goodness, man. All right, I will see you tonight, CFL and TSN. You'll be on the sidelines with myself and Suits at the Elks game as they look for that final crack at a home win tonight against the BC Lions, who need this game to lock up second spot in the West. So it's a big one tonight. Trey Ford making the start at quarterback for the Elks. It should be fun. Tommy, I'll talk to you then. Take us out today.
Hey, I look forward to working with you in Suits tonight. And one of those losing streaks at Commonwealth comes to an end. That's what we know for sure. Lions haven't won since 2013 here in Edmonton, and the Elks since 2019. So without further ado, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button. Let's hit that algorithm. Hashtag influencers, hashtag Strutty's Tight Pants.
We'll see you in the park on Tuesday.